Hi there, Jamie here at Teachers Tech. Hope you're having a great day today. So welcome to my intermediate Microsoft Word tutorial. So I'm going to be diving into some of the topics that we've touched in the previous ones, but going a little bit more into detail, like making sure we understand our margins, how to set those customized margins, how to use the tool like find and replace. It's a very powerful tool, looking at adding charts and captions to charts and tables and putting it all together in a table of contents that using the built-in Word function can save you a ton of time. So let's get started on these topics today in Teachers Tech on how to use Microsoft Word. Everything in this video will be timestamped, so take a look below at the description and then you can click on the topic that you want to get to quickly. The other thing is I'll put a link to this document that I'm using right here down below, and you can go ahead and make a copy and save it to your computer if you want to follow along with that one, or you can use any of your documents that you have and you can do these same things. So first of all, I want to talk about how to adjust your margins in Microsoft Word. And there's a few different ways you can do this. Now, it kind of depends too, if it's a long document or a short document, how you might want to do this. I see a lot of people when they're using their rulers, they're actually grabbing the wrong slider and they're changing the indent rather than the margin. So I just want to make sure I point out the differences when using the ruler. The other thing is the ruler would be for more of those shorter documents. And what I'm going to do, since this is a longer document that I have right here, I'm just going to take some of this information and just Control C and then go over to a new blank document and just paste it with Control V over there. So I do have my my ruler on the top right here. If you don't, if you look under your View tab and in the ribbon, see where it says ruler, if you don't have it on, just make sure that this is checked just like that. And you should have the ruler on the top and you should have it on the side here. You can see I have it also there. Now, the first thing that I notice people do grab these wrong when they're adjusting, because see the bottom one here? The bottom one here is actually just for indenting. The top one is to indent the first line. The margin one that we're going to be just is in the middle. And first of all, I'm going to just grab all the text or select all the text, and I can do this in a couple different ways. I'm just going to go Control A. And when you use Control A, it selects everything. The other way you can do it inside, go up to the tab, back to the home. And if you look under select here, I have select all and it does the exact same thing. So now I'm going to change the margins on this document. If I go up, I don't want to grab the bottom because it will look visually the same if I do this in this document, but it actually changes the indents rather than the margin. The margin, if I go up, you can see I'm going to get if I hover over just right there, I have that is what I want. It says left margin. And when I click and hold, now I can adjust the margins to it just like that. So make sure you get the double-headed arrow. And if I go to the other side, you can see I can adjust it just like that also. So that's where I'm changing the margins there, because if I could just grab the top one, you can see it's changing the indent of the first each first paragraph on it. So that's the difference. A lot of people I notice are just grabbing the top or the bottom and sometimes not that double-headed arrow. And you can do this the same. If I go over to the side, I get that double-headed arrow over here and I can change my top and bottom margins doing that exact same method. So that's the first method I wanted to show you with changing the margins in Microsoft Word using the ruler. So the two other methods I want to show you in changing your margins in Microsoft Word are using the presets and using custom margin. You're going to find the presets here. If we go up to the tab and look under layout, then if you look over, we have margins. These are going to be your presets right through here. You can see we have our normal one, our narrow, our moderate, wide, mirrored, and this is more for binding like in a book that you'd be using this. It kind of shows how that would look here and gives you all the measurements. And then we have our Office 2003 default. When you go through and click any of these, you need to make sure that if it's going to be applied to everything, you need to make sure that you select everything like I showed you before, using the Control A to select everything, or the other method, or else it will just apply to the section. So if you want it to everything, make sure that you select everything. everything. You can get to these in a different way too. So if I go, I'm going to go up top to the tab File and take a look. If we look under Print, and what you're going to see, there is a margin sections here that if you change them here, this will adjust to your document. You can see that it's the exact same list of the different presets right through here. So I'm just going to go back to the document, and I'm going to just show you the custom ones. And before I do that, you can see custom was there also. But I'm going to go back, and we can get to a custom margins in a few different ways. So if I go back up to layout, you can see it right here at the bottom, custom margins. Another shortcut would be for me, if I just double click right up here on the gray area of that ruler bar, it also comes up. So I could go through and set my margins just going through and picking what I want. So I'll just put in some numbers here just to make some quick adjustments. So that's the top, and I'm just going to make this change like so. You can see we could change orientation and everything, but what you can do in here, if you drop down where it says apply to whole document, you could drop down, you could say from this point forward also. So you have the options. If you had text selected, it would say, would you like to add it to this selection? So it will change here if you do have that. So those are some different ways that you can apply the margins. So if I hit OK, then those adjustments are quickly made. So make sure you have your margins set up correctly, and if you're using the ruler up top, that you're grabbing or sliding the right thing, so you're not changing your indent, but you're actually changing your margins. So now I want to show you some powerful features inside Microsoft Word that can save you a lot of time, and that's the Find and the Find and Replace tools. Now to use this, if we go up to the Home tab, take a look, and I've showed you where the select was before. Now we have Find and Replace right here. If I go ahead and click on Find, it opens up the navigation panel right here. For a shortcut, if I close this down, if I just hit Control F, like so, it opens it up. So if you just hit Control F, that will open up the Find also. If we're looking for something in a document, maybe we didn't even write it, so we're not sure where something's placed. If I go ahead and type Word, just like that, you can see it found 21 times that was used inside of here. And if I click on a certain this sentence, it will bring me to that. So I can go through and find it and make any edits very quickly without having to read the whole document. The other thing that's very powerful with rather than just the Find is the Find and Replace in Microsoft Word. And how this works is if I just go up to here again and hit Replace. So you can see, since I have Word highlighted, that's what comes up there. So I'm just going to go to the beginning of the document here, right to the very beginning, and I'm going to make a change in here. So I'm going to go back to Replace, and I'm going to change this. So I'm going to look for the word Learn. And if I go to Find and I type in Learn, you can see it goes right there. But what I want to do, it happens 3 times in this document. I've searched before, so it's 3 different times. I want to replace Learn with a different word, and it's going to be Acquire. Just like that. So I'm going to change Learn to Acquire. Now I have some options here. I want to point out, notice this more here. If I open this up, it gives me all the different options. So if you don't see this, just hit less or more. Now, when I go through, it found the first Learn right there. So do I want to go ahead and replace this one, or do I want to find the next one? So when I hit Find Next, it found the next one. I could choose to go through and replace the ones that I want. Maybe I don't want to change. So here's the third one right here. Do I want to change this one? I could go Replace. So now I've changed 2 of those 3. It went through the document of it. So you can see how Acquire is in it right there. I'm just going to go and undo. So I just backed up, Control Z. And a quick way to do it, if you knew you did want to change everything, if I go Replace, just go Replace All, and it does it all at once. So even if you had 100 words that you're changing, you could go through and just click on that and will quickly change. Now, I just want to point out some of the other search options when you're looking for something. So maybe the word doesn't come up, that or someone typed it differently, or in a different case. You can give it more parameters of how to search, so whether whether it be match and case, find whole words only, use wildcards, sounds like, find all words. So take a look at all these different ways that if you're trying to look for something specific and it's not coming up, try to do a little bit more with these search options. So that's a great way to replace some words inside your document very quickly, but it can actually do more than this too, because it can replace formatting. So what I mean is, and I'm going to go back to the start of this, you can see now this might be different than your document. I went through and just underlined and italicized my headings here. And let's say you were working on a project and your group member decided to do this to all of them, but you really don't like that formatting. You just want it to be bold and you want it to be not underlined or not italicized. So what you can do, if I go back to replace again, you can change formatting also. A lot of people only use this for replacing words, but I'm just going to get rid of these, just delete what I have in here. So what am I trying to find? So if I click into find what, make sure you've selected, go down to the very bottom where it says format. Now at this point, I can choose the font and I have some options. Well, this font here, I can see it's bold and it's italic and it is underlined. And so I'm choosing the underline right here and I hit OK. So it tells me what I'm looking for: font, bold, italic, underline. So what do I want to replace this with? So I click in replace with and I go format and I'm going to go to font and I just want it to be bold and I want none for underline. Hit OK. So again, if I go, now I can, let's see what we find. So find next, since I was at the start, it goes this one. Do I want to replace? Yes. Do I want to replace? Yes. Now it's going through, but I could do them all at once and hit OK. And it tells me how many changes I made. So if I go through, I want you to take a look. Notice this one right here didn't get changed. It was because this one didn't match the criteria that I was looking for. This wasn't italicized. So this was underlined and bolded. So it didn't, it skipped over that in the find and it didn't make those changes. So it does have to match what you're looking for. Let's say we're going to change something from being highlighted to not highlighted. So if we just go up to the top, I think I put in a couple examples, around 4 in here. If I go to replace up here, notice that it's looking for certain things. If we want to clear this at all, if I say no formatting, you can see how it clears up what's there. So no formatting. So in this case, what am I trying to find? I'm going to go to format, highlight, and it's looking for highlight right now. And replace with, if I go to a format again, see it says replace with highlight, but if I click highlight again, it says not highlight. Let's see what happens here. So if I go find next, and here it found one right here, and I say replace, it found that one, it found this one, so I'll replace, and one more here, replace. So I skipped over this first one because it depended on where I was selected in the document, but I could go ahead and replace. So remember though, I could hit replaced all to do it all at once, but if you wanted to see maybe as you go through, it gives you a quick way to scan and change things. So do remember, yes, you can change words, but the formatting options are there, from highlighting to the type of fonts, and take a look at all the different things that you can change that can save you a lot of time. So I want to move into captioning things like charts, tables, images inside your Microsoft Word document. In this case, I don't have a chart yet, so I quickly want to show you how I can add a chart and then make any customizations to it. So I'm just on the first page right here, and I'm going to insert a chart. And I'm going to go up to insert, and I'm going to select chart right here. You'll see right away you have all the different charts that you can choose from just by quickly choosing. And anytime if you hover over, you can just see what the larger image is. So if I was under the pie one, do I want a 3D one like this? I would pick the one I want. When I get it, just go ahead and hit OK. So you're going to get this data open where you can enter your data. So I'll stretch this out, and I'm not going to change this much, but if you make any changes right in here, so if I change this 3.2 to 10, this chart dynamically updates with this. Let's say this gets closed and you have to update the information. You can go to edit data right up top here, and it opens up again. If I right click on it too, there is edit data right there. So you can get back to it and make any changes that you want. Another thing right away, when you click on it, you'll probably see that you can resize it by grabbing the handles to get it into the position that you want. This Microsoft 365 with the edition I am on makes it easy to make some changes as soon as I select any of this. Take a look up top when I select it, the chart design comes up, and then I can go through and quickly make adjustments on how I want it to look. If I drop down, you can see all the different options available here. And then under chart element, again with titles above, and if I choose a title, I can click in and change these. So maybe it was Apple sales, like that. So I can quickly make these adjustments. Do I want the legend? And it gives me that quick idea how everything will look, just like that. And then try the quick layout. I hover over and see all the different options. Now we have colors over here that we can change. And I do want to point out, with right clicking on this, there are a number of options that you get to with changing the chart type. So you can be looking up in the ribbon or right clicking to see a lot of the same options to it. If I click in it, notice if I double selected that, clicked on it twice, I can drag this apart too. So when you see a certain chunk, I could drag them apart to really get that visualization of breaking it down. So this makes it easy to play with, to add your data, to change the chart type. Take a look at, if I select this, what do I want to have seen? Another shortcut, turn it off, on, chart title, off, on, just like that. Now, the other thing you might want to look at is how it's with text. You want the text right around it, so I can change the wrapping. If I right click, here is wrap text right here. So I could go to square, and then it puts it inside. If we look under layout up top, you'll also, when I have this selected, we have wrap text position with it too. So if I go ahead, you can see as I hover over different things, you get different looks. I'm just going to leave it with square. So now that we have a chart in, we can add a caption to this, and we can add captions to images and tables also. So I'm going to caption this. And why might you want to use a caption? Well, because this will help us if we wanted to create a table of figures. And later on, after I do the table of contents, I'll show you quickly how you can create a table of figures in Microsoft Word. But to add our caption, if I right click on this here, just like so, you can see insert caption. And now I have some options. Well, this isn't going to be a table. This is a figure that I'm going to be used. So if it was images and charts, that's generally going to be a figure. If I drop down, I could choose figure, and this is going to be figure 1 because it's the first one that I'm labeling with this in my document. And as I move down and pick different ones, then it would be figure 2, figure 3, figure 4, and so on. If I wanted to do a new label, if I was going to type fig, maybe I didn't want to type it all out like figure, it quickly adapts just like this. I can even write more in here. So I'll just put chart. And at this time, I can change even how my numbering is. So if I click, do I want this to be 1, 2, 3, drop down ABC, different options. Do I want to include the chapters? Then I get a few other options. Here's some examples. I'm not going to include the chapters with this one. Where do I want this, above or below selected? I'm going to leave it at below. I exclude label from caption, so you can see if you want to check, turn that off or on. So if I go ahead and hit OK, here is my caption right underneath now. So it makes it an easy way. You don't have to try to bring a text box in to line it up. It fitted in nicely, even how with the spacing between it. So if I was going to an image, I can right click on an image, insert caption. So this is going to be figure 2. I'll just put image. Where do I want it? Okay. So it ran out of room at the bottom of the page, so I just moved it down, and here it is. Now, if I was going to go to a certain part, I'm going to go and insert a table. So insert a table, and I'll just make a small table here. I'll just give it some little bit of formatting. And if I select this table, and I'm just going to right click here, notice that I have insert caption. So at this time, I probably want to call this table rather than, so this would be a table. Notice that it's going to start at table 1. The figures in the tables are going to be numbered separately, so this would be the first table of what I'm inserting in this document. So I could go through, do I want it above, below, and if I'm just going to type first for first table, and you can see it gets entered in, and this is 1. But if I keep entering in another figure, then this one will be 3. So if I go insert, this is going to be a figure, and I'll pick just what I was using before, figure 3, and hit OK, it gets added. So that's how you add captions, whether it be to images, to charts, to tables. And like I said, after I do the table of contents, I'll show you how to do a table of figures, just kind of like the table of contents, where it can take all those images or tables and put them into a nice, precise way to organize them. So in this part of the lesson today, I want to show you how to create a table of contents in Microsoft Word. And this is something that can save you a lot of time. I still see people trying to piece together their table of contents just by typing it back and forth, looking at the page number they are, and creating this on their first page after they've created everything. There is a much easier way to do that. And using this document today, I'm going to show you. But again, you could be using a different one if you want, but let's get started on how to create this table of contents in Microsoft Word. So if you're following along with the document, this is the document that I'm working on right now. The title and the headings, all they are bolded. So I haven't added any styles, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. And what I find is a lot of people, when they create their table of contents, they don't realize how quickly you could do it if you use the built-in, how it generates for Word. What they tend to do is they'll go to maybe a heading, and then they just bold it like this one is, and increase the font size larger than the other font, and then they go through and then just put the page numbers in after. There's a much easier way to do this, and that's using the styles. And so I'm just going to click up in the title up here, and I'm going to add a style to it. But before I do that, I'm just going to go to my View tab here, and in the ribbon, just click on this navigation pane here. As I add the title and headings, you're going to see it kind of what's happening a little bit better. So inside this, so I'm going to click on this line right here, Microsoft Word Tutorial. I'm going to go back to Home, and these styles right here, you can see that there is a title one. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It quickly changes, and this is classified as the title now. I'm going to go to this line here, and this is going to be a heading. So it's a subheading, not the main title, but I'm going to call this heading 1. And you can see how this changes. Now, I do want to point out you can make custom styles too. So for example, this one right here is a custom one that would match the font to this. I'll show you how to create your custom style for these headings at the end of this video. But just for this demo here, I'm going to go ahead and use this heading 1. And I'm going to go down to this one and turn it into heading 1. I'm just going to do a few of these, and you can do as many as you want here, but I'm going to go to the next one here and add just this one more. So you can see on the side, I have three different headings in the navigation pane happening. I wanted to point out, if I go back to this one right here, Word Templates, and I just click on the line, if I turn this to heading 2, now you can see how it's been indented. It's like a subheading of this, and you could go heading 3 like this. So if I went into even further on and click here into number 3, you can see how that becomes a subheading of that one. So it's quick to make those changes, and you can see how it adjusts just by clicking on any of these. Now, the other thing I just wanted to point out, you can, if you do highlight it, you can get your styles right here too, and you can see you have all the different ones that you can pick. So I'm gonna leave this one right here as a subheading just when I generate it, and I'll change it after for it. But I'm going to go through and just populate, click on the heading 1 for all these, and then I'm going to get back and we'll generate our table of contents. So I went through the document. Anytime I saw one of those bolded headings, I used the style and turned it into heading 1, except for this Word Templates is still a heading 2. The other reason I like having this navigation pane open when I add my headings from the styles like this, I can jump around just by clicking on these navigation pane in the navigation pane. So it allows you, in especially a big document, to get to find what you're looking for. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning. I'm actually going to change a couple more things here. I want to take this heading here, and I'm going to change it to a just a heading 2 also. So you can see a heading 2, and I'm going to take this how to zoom one here and change it to a heading 3 like this. Oops, I better do the whole thing here. And style 3, just like that. So you can see I have 2 different ones here, how it sets up with the sub pages on it. So now I'm going to go ahead and insert my table of contents, and I want to put this I'm going to put a page in before this and insert that table of contents, because I know it's going to eat up a bit of room because it's a fairly long one. To get to the table of contents, I go and click on the References tab, and you'll see that over on the left we have Table of Contents here. Now I'm going to insert a page first. I'm going to go and we'll just put a page break here, and I'm going to make sure I'm at the top here, and I'm going to insert the table of contents here. So back to References and Table of Contents. I'm just going to click on it, and you can see I have from the automatic table 1, automatic table 2, and the manual table. I'm going to click on the first one, and what it did, and I can go through, actually I'm going to leave it like this because I'm just going to show, I'm going to make some adjustments here. This page got put in. I'm just going to delete a spot there so it comes back up. Right, like that. So we have our table of contents. You can see it has all the pages in it. Look at where I put the headings and subheadings, how it indented automatically on that. And I'm going to show you how you can make some adjustments to kind of customize your table of contents too. But what happens if something changes on it? So do you have to redo everything, or how quickly can you redo it? Well, let's say if I go to here, I'm going to change these table of contents here. I'm going to go to this word one here, and I'm going to go and just turn it back to a heading 1. Now, if I go back to my table of contents, nothing has changed on this. But I just want to point out, look at this. As I click in the table of contents, I can update the table of contents. So if I click on this, it asks me, do I want to update the page numbers only or update entire table? Well, I made a change to the actual where this is going to be, the page numbers are going to change. So I'm going to say entire table on this one, and you can see it just automatically changed over. So even if there's a page number, if you insert more headings using the style and add another chunk, you can go ahead and update your table, and it's going to automatically update to this. So if the pages change on some of it, so if I was on this word template that I know is on page 2, and I'm just going to push it down to page 3 here, just like that. And then if I go back up again, you're going to see a change here as I click in it, update. This time I'll only do the page numbers, hit OK, and I saw a couple changes in the numbers here. All right, let's look at some of the other options that I mentioned before in the table of contents. So I want to point out some ways you could customize your table. If you go up back to table of contents in the ribbon, drop down, and you can see that there is a custom table of contents. If you click on that, you'll get this table of contents box, and you can see where you can adjust things. Do you want the page numbers to show? It gives you a little preview up here. It doesn't change anything yet until you hit OK and update it. And you can see the different options. I have different levels that I can show. So word templates, remember, that's level 1, how to set a default, level 2, and how to zoom level 3. So if I went and said to change it to 2 levels, hit OK, and said yes, right now, then the how to zoom is gone out of the table of contents. It's not gone as a heading. If I look over on the navigation pane, it's still there. It's just not added to my table of contents because it was in a level I didn't want to add to it. Now you can quickly delete these tables too. You can click, drop down on this, and you'll see how you can remove tables or change it to different tables also. You can remove it this way from here. Now, I did mention about making a custom style, and I'm going to go back to home here, and we're going to make a custom style for a heading. How you do this is if you drop down, you can see that there's create a style. When you hit create a style, you can give it a name. I'm just going to leave this at style 1. click on modify, and you get all these different options here. So you can see from the name, what do you want this to be, style, and you can go through. So is this going to be maybe a heading 5? And you would go through and pick what you want out of all these. What type of font do you want? What type of color? And you could pick all these styles. So if I go ahead and add, we'll just, so you can see it just like this, and we'll leave it at, we'll go orange, and I'll hit OK. And so that was style 1. It gives a little preview. So at any time, if I was going to go back to any of these here, and I click on this style, you can see how it quickly changes. Remember, that's a level 5. Even if I updated it, it wouldn't show my table of contents here. So I hope you like this little tutorial on how to add a table of contents to Word. Think about setting it up this way from the get-go, adding your headings as you go along, because it can help with just navigation on the side of the navigation pane, and it'll just make it easier to kind of just help you organize your document. And remember, you can make those quick changes and update your table of contents when you're finished too. To end this tutorial today on Microsoft Word, I mentioned I want to show you how you could insert a table of figures. And I just showed you how to use the table of contents. Now, if we're under references still, take a look here. It says insert table of figures. So I'm just going to make sure I'm going to put it right here. I could place it anywhere I wanted it. If I wanted it to go down here, I could put it down there. But for this example, insert table of figures. So what it allows, you can see now it's going to go through and pick all the different figures. Do I want to show page numbers? I can customize all this one. Take a look at the different options that you have from here. So caption label, is it going to be a table? Is it going to be a figure? You choose what you want. And then when you're ready, I do want to take a look at the options here. You can see, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and it added that in here. So kind of just like the table of contents, you can do a table of figures also. So I hope you like all these mini lessons in this one big lesson today on Teachers Tech. I plan on doing more in Microsoft Word and other Microsoft products because there's so much to know about, and I'm going to break it into these lessons of combined topics. So let me know what you're looking for in the comments down below. Thanks for watching this time on Teachers Tech. I'll see you next time with more tech tips and tutorials.